Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
With a career spanning over 3 decades, 3 Grammy Awards, including a Latin Grammy, 20 million albums sold, and starring roles on Broadway, the acclaimed romantic sounds of Cuban-born American-based Jon Secada have resulted in numerous hits in English and Spanish, establishing him as one of the first bilingual artists to have international crossover success. Jon's career skyrocketed in 1991 with the release of his self-titled debut album Jon Secada, which sold over 6 million copies worldwide, was certified triple platinum in the US, and reached number 15 on Billboard's pop album chart. The Spanish-language version of the album, Otro Día Más Sin Fuerte, went on to become the number 1 Latin album of 1992 and earned Jon his first Grammy Award for Best Latin Pop Album. 3 more top 20 Billboard hits would eventually come from that album, including Angel, I'm Free, and You Believe in Us. The unprecedented success for Jon continued in 1994 with the platinum-selling release of his second album, Heart, Soul and Voice, which garnered another top 10 hit, If You Go, and followed with his third album, Amor, earning him his second Grammy Award for Best Latin Pop Performance. Beyond his own hits, Jon is widely recognized for his impeccable producing and songwriting skills, collaborating with the likes of Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, Mandy Moore, Alejandro Fernandez, and many more. Up next on Celeb Savant, we've got Jon Secada.
Where in the world are you, and how are you doing?
Well, right now I'm in Miami, Florida, and I'm doing really quite well. Thank you. Enjoying, of course, our what is called our winter weather,
Yes.
which is quite lovely actually. Today is in Fahrenheit is somewhere in the 60s, isn't it? So we're having a very nice day.
Okay, so now let's rewind. I know it's a multi-decade journeys of your story. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to follow this path, and how did that journey progress?
Well, I got interested in music. I think I always knew that I could sing, but I never did anything about it until I was in high school. That's where I took the plunge. I was a very shy, introverted kid. Probably dealt with all the migrations that my family and I had to deal with. I was raised an only child. Left Cuba when I was 8. Lived in Spain for close to 2 years, then lived in Costa Rica close to 2 years before coming to America, to the United States. I was already about to turn 13, but that's when I really started to discover really what my true interest was. And the minute that I got to the U.S., I gravitated immediately to Anglo entertainment. Whether it was music, television, movies, it didn't matter. Anything that dealt with American entertainment, that was something that really interested me from the very beginning.
Having that interest and that knowledge and that passion of that, how did that translate to you then actually doing it yourself?
Well, I decided, I was encouraged by my high school music teacher to, I guess, follow the path of what I was passionate about. And I did. My parents encouraged me to study music, to educate myself, really. That was the thing. Whatever you want to do, be as prepared as you can be. And that's what I did. So I was a good student in high school, and I went through the process of, I guess, applying to and doing everything that I could do to enter a university, the University of Miami, where I got my bachelor's and my master's degree in music, and jazz vocal performance. And so that really, that came from out of the encouragement of my high school music teacher.
Having your degree and then pursuing this world professionally, Were there any aspects of it when you actually started doing it that surprised you, were part of the process that you didn't think would be part of the process?
Well, I quickly realized that what interested me to begin with was just the whole nature of my craft. So the minute I went to college and I went through the process of being surrounded by so many great musicians, and many of which are still my friends today, and other generations of musicians that came out of the University of Miami, then the process of being a musician really took over. A blue-collar musician, if you will. That became the basis of who I am. And to this day, actually, I think that my career became one that without stopping my sense of being ambitious, nevertheless, I knew that my craft was number one. And from that standpoint, I was prepared to do anything that came my way because I loved music that much. And I did. I was a teacher. I worked nightclubs. I did jingles. I did production work. I did background vocals for anybody. I entered the world of being a working musician, and to this day, I still consider myself a working musician.
What motivates you after being in the industry for so many years to keep creating and keep getting on the stage and performing?
Well, performing was something that I always enjoyed. Enjoyed it from the very first time that I became a part of a band out of college and doing the rounds and the clubs and things. And that was inherited really along with my education, inherited along with the fact that as a working musician, performing was a part of it. And the more that I did it, the more that I enjoyed it. I still remember how it felt being from those beginning days and being a part of that process of enjoying whatever came my way, whether it was working in a club, working at a wedding, working at a private party. It didn't matter. It was just the essence of being a working musician and performing.
As just reference, you've been in the industry for a number of decades, a number of years. For better or for worse, what are the main changes that you have noticed within the industry?
Well, the main changes, I think, deal with just the evolution of technology and the impact that has made on society, how people listen to music, how they buy music. I think that's where the biggest challenge is across the board for musicians, for artists, is how to keep people interested in a world whereby everyone is so engaged in so many things all at the same time. So to really have the eyeballs and the ears of people attached to anything is very, very challenging for a long period of time. So instant gratification, keeping people engaged for a long period of time is a tough job. But within that, I think within those challenges also come the opportunity to put out music on a larger scale. And for artists, producers, songwriters, the opportunity to enjoy the independence, to do that, and to explore and always keep challenging themselves and see what sticks, see what people like, what they don't like, on a constant basis. Because that's what the audience, that's what the public also wants. That's what they want as well. They want to hear what's going on. What are you doing new? What is it? What do you have for me today to listen to? And I think that's what the industry has really become at this point. Is that the challenges of kind of connecting with people is really become kind of like the big thing these days.
I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. For me, it's an energy exchange to say thank you to you guys for all the hard work that you do. I love the journey of the choice, the unpacking, the booklets, the listening to songs from Moin's whatever number. I love that whole experience. I'm not sure if you are or not aware, a massive uptick of physical around the world. 2 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990.
Wow.
Last year in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on daily. There needs to be a high number of exchanges daily for a product to be in the basket, and they monitor it for tax purposes. Because of the upsurge of CDs are now back in the basket.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the research is showing it's actually the teenagers, it's the younger kids diving into this world, not the older nostalgic people. Then we've got Spotify and all these platforms. What are your observations of the landscape at the moment?
Well, listen, man, I think that's refreshing. I think that's the best word that I can really come up with. It's refreshing to hear. And like so many things, in my humble opinion, that deals with cycles, but goes around, comes around. And I think it's a wonderful thing that young people are discovering some of those mediums that became, at the time, the backbone of how we, people in my generation, of course, enjoyed music, bought music, and were connected to it. So the fact that that is circling back is a wonderful thing to see. I'm sweetly surprised.
How do you create a song?
I still do the same way, you know. I'm still inspired by a melody, a lyric fragment, a conversation, an observation about anything, a feeling, a thought. From that perspective, I sit, you know, still sit at the piano, then eventually then come up with what I feel as an idea. Or if I'm collaborating with somebody else, then come up to that point whereby we go back and forth until we find something that we like, you know, and my collaborator might have a sequence already, like a set pattern of an idea that he has recorded, that he has programmed perhaps. And then we take it from there, you know, and we start working on it.
You recently released an album, Fascination, as a tribute to the late Nat King Cole. What was the inspiration behind this project?
Well, that project is just directly connected to who I am as a student of music, as a jazz musician, as a lover, and respectfully so, as someone that historically really always appreciated artists like Nat King Cole. What they represented during their careers as musicians, and especially Nat Cole. He was a great pianist, great jazz pianist, who later kind of became, of course, just a tremendous vocalist. But even within his own synergy, there was always a connection attached to his musicianship that I realized and I learned because I was so in tune with musicians and singers and vocalists like him. And the fact that at the same time, my parents say they grew up listening to Nat King Cole in Spanish. There's a recorder. He did a whole series of records in Spanish, which actually he recorded in Cuba, of all places. And so I grew up, even my parents, with my parents being fans of Nat King Cole, of his recordings in Spanish. The history attached to them, my own connection to Nat King Cole, because of who I am and what I studied, and as a musician, as a vocalist myself, it's the reason that we did this project. And I worked with a great musician, great artist in his own right, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, a great pianist. And of course, I had so many collaborators a part of that record, including my own daughter. At this point in my career, that project is it's a culmination of 40 years of being a professional musician. But it really does stems from my education.
Now, when you're going to create, obviously you create in Spanish, you create in English, but when you're creating something new, when you get into the studio, do you know it's going to be in English or in Spanish, or does it just organically flow?
No, I'm going to have an idea of what I'm going to write that day, whether it's in English or Spanish, or maybe eventually we get inspired to do a little bit of both. I grew up that way, you know, here in South Florida. So I grew up completely bilingual. My career started as a crossover artist in the early 90s. And I guess I can honestly say, and I guess historically say, that I was the first one to really kind of open the floodgates for so many other artists that had not done it that way, had not explored their careers with equal success as male artists, not female, but as male artists, from the standpoint of being recognized with equal success in both languages. But I credit that to the fact that I grew up in a community that gave me that opportunity, and work with artists and musicians and and songwriters, and I had mentors of my own, Gloria Estefan and other artists that were already kind of tapping into that. So when my career broke through and broke the way that it did with equal success, and at this point, I guess the number speaks for themselves, and my career speaks for itself in terms of just the analytics and what I've done. But it is a result of being raised in a community that gave me the freedom and the opportunity to do that.
At the time when you were having equal success in both languages, did you realize at the point that you would be opening the gates for other artists, or did that realization only happen at a later stage?
Those are the things that you don't realize at the moment. You really don't. I think those are the things that maybe only time, history, analytics, I guess when eventually your career, after 40 years, 35 years, me as an artist and another 5 as a professional musician, becomes part of what I guess it can be said a legacy type of career, but only history eventually kind of lets you know what you have accomplished. For me to say it's not for me to say. It's for the numbers themselves to say it. The analysis of what happened, the charts for that to be the ultimate proof, I guess, of what my career meant in 1992 from the time that my very first CD came out, and at that point then what my career then, I guess 35 years later, represents because of what I did and the opportunities that it led to the careers of so many other of my colleagues, most of which I've worked with, whether it's Ricky Martin, Shakira, Mark Anthony, and Enrique Iglesias, and the work that Bad Bunny is doing, which I love. And so many wonderful crossover artists that have done so much. For me to know that I broke the ice, I guess now I can say it because I guess the history is saying it, but it's not because I'm saying it. It's not me saying it, it's the history books. That's all I can say, I guess. History is speaking for itself.
You referenced the music charts, and obviously this 1992 was pre-internet, pre-access to that world of diving to things. So really the radio, the magazines was the only touch point of what was happening. Do you feel that the charts are as relevant now as they were then?
They're a go-to. They always will be a go-to. It's a point of reference for people in the industry, colleagues, and also the fans to know what's going on, and how numbers are being tabulated. With each generation, with each decade, the numbers are tabulated and differently. This is based on how the industry measures what's going on. I think the analytics attached to streaming, has changed everything. So that in and of itself is pretty impressive, right? Like you said, in the way that the charts were regulated at one point by vinyl, and then regulated by CDs, and then when everything became measured through a much more accurate way to represent numbers. That's been a part of, I guess, of the growth process of the industry in general. Yeah, I think from that standpoint, the charts still means something to artists, means something to the fans, for them to know, hey, what's going on this week? Who's up there? Who's not? And why? And how? How is this happening? And because that is a tracking record that eventually with history, then people can go back and say, oh, wait a minute, that person, that artist had a mark. They made a stand in history that's important or whatever. So I guess from that perspective, I guess, yeah, the charts do matter.
Interesting conversation this. I did a couple of focus groups just because I felt like it. So I spoke to a group of 10 people and I spoke to a group of 8 people. And these are people who generally listen to music cross-culturally, cross-age groups. They generally listen to music on streaming. I said to Group A and Group B, if an artist has had 100 million streams, how much money do they think they've got in their back pockets? Now, the first group of people said $50 million. The second group of people said $1 million. I said, actually, no, more like a couple of thousand. And they were, I see you laughing, and they were, and they were shocked and horrified when I told them this. I know Snoop Dogg, I know Ray, there's a bunch of different artists that are speaking out about, the balance of energy, the balance of payments. Do you think there needs to be more of an education piece for the general audience to understand what's going on?
Well, if not for the audience, I think, to be honest with you, the artists themselves, the artists understanding our business. Okay. I really do believe that. The fans are supposed to enjoy it. The fans are supposed to, they're supposed to download it. They're supposed to just be in love with the artists and the music that they want and how they want it and how it's being presented to them. It's not really the responsibility to know the money that's being made now. For artists, producers, songwriters, yes, it's important for us to know, excuse me, and to understand it fully, because then it gives us a sense of, okay, how are things doing? And is everything on the up and up? Are we clear? Do things need to be addressed? Do things need to be kind of looked into, so that and in the balance of things, all things being considered, everybody's being taken care of. But, the fans are supposed to just love it and enjoy it. But I think now, it's so easy to understand these things, though. And I think they're very intelligent. Fans are intelligent. They know what's going on. And I think eventually the fans understand. And when they look up the numbers, they get the real truth. Because the truth now is very easy to find. There's it's very difficult to withhold the truth about anything. There's no more secrets. Eventually, I think all of us end up knowing what's going on, the fans included. But that's the way it should be, because then there should be music for the fans, for the artists. Transparency should be the way life should be, transparent and clear, crystal clear.
I know it's all very secretive in your guys' world. So what can you tell us is coming up next?
Listen, I'm excited about where I'm at in my career. There's a lot of moving pieces that people are going to find out very, 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 very soon, attached to my legacy and the legacy of the history of everything that I'm all about as a songwriter and as a recording artist. That's really all I can say right now, but I'm excited about it. It's a reflection of the artist that I've become. But from that standpoint, it's going to be a year unlike any other in the last 35 plus years in my career.
Wow, we look forward to hearing all about that. Now, I love this next game. I know if I had to ask you this question tomorrow, the next day or the next day, I know your answer will be different every time because there are millions of them. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind. If once we finish this conversation, you want to go listen to 5 other artists, who would those artists be?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, listen, I'm a very stream of consciousness type of person. So I'm going to say whatever comes to my mind right now.
That's perfect.
So Stevie Wonder is there. Okay. Earth, Wind and Fire is there. Billy Joel is there. Elton John is there. Let me see. A 5th artist. Oh my goodness. As a Latin artist, man, I am fascinated with Bad Bunny, man. I'm fascinated with Bad Bunny because I feel that, that he gets shortchanged in terms of the depth of what he's trying to do in music. And every time I hear a brand new record, a brand new concept, I hear the substance. I hear the stuff that he's trying to do. And I feel that a lot of my colleagues don't. And people in the industry don't. And some of the fans maybe don't appreciate it as much. And that's okay. Because, music should be completely and totally subjective. And that's that's the way it was always meant to be. But from that standpoint, man, I really appreciate Bad Bunny, man. I really, really do. I think that he's the cutting edge of what's going on and in the industry and connecting with what people want, but in a way that is very, very, very cool. And I hear the education in it. I hear the fusion. I hear the respect to other styles of music. I hear the sincerity. I hear all of it and what he does. And so I really respect him a lot.
Jon, the podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message, what would you like to say?
Hey, watch out for Jon Secada this year. Brand new things coming. I can't talk about them yet, but it'll be something that I think whoever knows who I am will appreciate it. And maybe some brand new fans will appreciate it too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.